Look at that. We can tote this thing around. Okay, today's video, if I can get it up here, is an OUKITEL Aberal P5000. What's up everybody, Average Joe here. In today's video we have another portable power station that we're going to be taking a look at. This one is the OUKITEL Aberal P5000. So basically what we're going to do here is I'll do a quick overview, we'll go over the specs, we'll take a quick look, and then we're going to get right into the testing. I'm going to try to make this short, sweet, to the point, just so I don't waste much of your time. So let's get to it. Obviously, this thing is massive. It weighs 112 pounds or 51 kilograms. It's a beast. So, just want to mention real quick, if you're putting this in an RV or a vehicle or, you know, whatever you're going to be putting it into, you might want a second person. However, it does come with some wheels right over here, which it does roll really good. It's got two handles up on the top, and there's also a telescopic handle right over here, which I'll show you in just a minute. So anyway, obviously this is the OUKITEL Aberal P5000, okay? It has a 5,120 watt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery. If you're not familiar with batteries, lithium iron phosphate is pretty much one of the safest batteries that you can get right now. Anyway, a quick little overview, specs, and look around and all that kind of stuff. So we'll start right over here on the left hand side. This is your DC output area, and of course you can turn all of this on or off with a push button right down here. Right above that we have your 5521 ports, and these are 12 volt 3 amp. Right above that is a 24 volt 10 amp aviation / RV plug. It's got your 4 prongs inside. Of course, you have a little cover that covers all that up, and then right above that we have a 12 volt 10 amp cigarette lighter port right here. Right in the center is the USB port area. Again, turn it on or off by the push of a button. It has 4 USB-A ports. The top 2 are 5 volts 2.4 amps. Center is the quick charge 3.0 18 watts, and then the bottom are your USB-C 100 watts. And then finally over here is your AC output. Again, you can turn it on or off with the push of a button. This has a 2200 watt output pure sine wave inverter, and it can surge up to 4,000 watts. All right, so we have 4 20 amp 120 volt plugs right here. Again, it's got the little side angle plugs, so those are true 20 amp plugs. And then what I find is really cool, they have a 30 amp output RV style plug right here. So if you are trying to power your RV, camper, you know, your house for backup and stuff like that, you can just plug right into this port right here. I'm really interested in that plug right there because this does have the UPS function, or the uninterruptible power supply function. Basically what that means is if you plug this into the wall and then you plug your devices into this side, if the grid goes down, this is going to continue powering your device. There is a slight caveat to that though, is whenever you're using the UPS function, it can only support 1400 watts or up to 1400 watts. Basically that's because you're plugged into the wall, and it comes with a 15 amp AC wire right here, you know, and that's like 1500 watts. All right, so keep that in mind if you are using it for a UPS. Obviously if you're abroad or powering your RV or whatever, you know, not plugged into the wall or anything like that, you can make full use of the 2200 watt inverter right there. Last thing we got is the power button. You hold it down for 3 seconds and then the display will show up. So right up on the display, right over here on the left hand side, this is your charge or discharge hours remaining. The center is your battery's percent state of charge. Mine arrived at 28%, so obviously we're going to have to recharge it before we really do any testing. And then right here is your input and output watts. I would imagine there's going to be a bunch of other random things that'll show up on there whenever we use it. I know whenever you turn on the DC port, some little things show up here on the bottom. Same for the USB. USB shows up there, and then on the AC, you also get a few other things showing up on the screen. So one other thing I do have to mention real quick is, even though this says the AC output is 100 to 120 volts, up here on the display, it shows your output voltage, and it only says 110 volts. These can only do 100 or 110 volts, depending on where you're at in the world. I just wanted to mention that it's not actually 120 volts. For here in the United States, it only goes up to 110 volts. All right, starting with the left side, there's really not a whole lot on here other than you have 2 fans, which is your air intake port. So obviously leave this area open. And then at the very, very bottom down here, you have a telescopic handle similar to luggage, etc. It's real easy. Just push the button. It pops right out. First solid lock or detent is roughly 15 inches. And then you push the button again. Next solid lock is 21 inches. And then all the way out is 25 inches. Obviously, to push it back in, push the button, push it all the way back in. On the back side, there's really nothing other than the information of this portable power supply, and that is pretty much it on this side. And then lastly, the right side, you have 2 exhaust fans. Right below that, you have your AC and DC charging, and it's underneath this little tiny door right here. Pop that open. First thing you have on the left is the overload protection circuit breaker. Next one over is your AC charging port, and you can charge up to 1800 watts. You do have the option of slow charging or fast charging right here with this little switch. Down is quick charging, up is slow charging. I think slow charging is around 600 watts and fast charging can be anywhere from 1600 to 1800 watts. All right, and then finally we have your DC charging port. This is where you're going to plug in your solar or your car charger, you know, stuff like that. This is 1000 watts max, and you can do 12 volts all the way up to 120 volts DC. There is a little caution right above that. It says charging with voltage above 120 volts DC will cause product damage. So your open circuit voltage for your solar panels and stuff like that, just make sure it's below 120 volts. I would hope there is some protection in there for that, you know, accidental going over 120 volts, but I don't actually know. There's a warning there for a reason, so don't do it. If for some reason we're satisfied with all the testing, maybe I'll throw a little over 120 volts in there and we'll see if it blows up or not. Okay, anyway, that's pretty much all you got on this side right here other than your wheels, and you do have some of these little rubber bump stops right here. That is because the other side's got the telescoping handle. If you want to tilt this all the way up on its side, you can do so. It'll be just fine because it'll rest right on those nubs right there. And finally, on the top side, you have a little cubby here in the center, and you have 2 handles on the side. Anyway, to open up the cubby, you just push down and it opens up. And inside, it comes with the supplied AC cable, car charger, so XT60 on one side and your cigarette lighter on the other. And then finally, your solar charging cable, so MC4 connectors and XT60 on the other. Kind of looks like you could probably put a few other things in there if you needed to, so there is quite a bit of room up here. To shut it, just drop the door and push down and close, and you're done. They also sent their 400 watt solar panel. All right, this is a 48 volt solar panel, or 48 volts open circuit. It's pretty massive. I don't think I can unfold the whole thing right here, so we'll probably have to do that outside. But what I will show you real quick, an adjustable kickstand, Velcroed, so obviously you can set this up. And it also has this pocket right here which holds your MC4 connections. It's already attached, so you can't lose them or anything like that. The other side's got your MC4 connections right here. It also gives you all the specs, etc. inside the pouch. Got your carrying handle right up here. This is made out of like a canvas type material. Obviously I can't undo the entire thing, but I would say it does look pretty nice. I would imagine each one of these panels are 100 watts. So there you go. It's rated for IPX4. It's waterproof, but it's not something that you want to leave out in the rain. They say whenever you want to wash it, if it's really dirty, you know, don't hose it down or anything like that. Just use maybe like a damp cloth. That's pretty much it. All right, so there you go. All right, first thing we're going to do is recharge it back up, and we're going to check out the little switch where it says slow charge and fast charge. Here we go. All right, we had a little icon show up right here in the center. Now we're starting to charge. Looks like we kind of leveled off around 600 watts. We got the icon moving here for charging, and if we leave it at this setting right here, it'll be recharged in roughly 6 hours. All right, next we're going to do the fast charge, and we'll see how high it actually goes. Here we go. Fast charge is on, and we leveled off at 1500 watts. Oh, and it says supercharge right here in the center. That's kind of cool. All right, so if we recharge at 1500 watts, we have roughly 2 hours charge time, at least from the 28 or 29% state of charge. All right, while this is recharging, I kind of want to do a UPS function check. So I'm going to use this heater right here. We're going to try to get close to that 1400 watt range and a 150 watt light bulb just so you guys can see what's actually happening here, okay? I'm on the slow charge right now, just for the first charge. We're only charging at 604 watts. Light bulb plugged in and the heater is plugged in. We turn on the AC inverter by the button. You can see the light bulb turned on. Turn on the heater. It says 814. Let me turn that on high. We're at 1430 watts. I'm gonna unplug it from the wall and we'll test the UPS function. All right, so you might see a little blink here. You did, just a little tiny flicker. And now we're drawing 1408 watts, which is 8 watts over what it recommends. We'll just see what happens here real quick. We'll see if it shuts down or whatever. And I just don't think it's going to at 1408 watts. I don't have any overloads or anything like that. So UPS function is working good. All right, let me plug it back in to make sure it goes through pass-through mode. All right, no clicks yet. There we go, it just clicked. There was the slightest flicker. All right, we're gonna mess it up again and unplug it. Maybe your power is going on and off. All right, so I would say that is working out pretty good. Okay, let me plug it back in and unplug this other stuff, and I'll get it full charge and we'll start doing our tests. All right, first test is gonna be a capacity test, and we're gonna be doing a 0.2C capacity test. This is basically a 100 amp hour battery, so if we can discharge roughly 1000 watts, or close to that, that should give us our 0.2C rate. So what we're gonna be doing is I'm gonna be plugging in this battery charger right here and recharging this DIY portable power station that I built in a previous video. And then I also have 3 150 watt light bulbs right up here. All right, and obviously we're gonna be going through the AC output side, so I've got a kilowatt hour meter right there, which will let us know how much we get. First thing I'll do is unplug it from the wall. We turn on the battery over here. Might get some beepings, so sorry about that. Plug in everything. All right, light bulbs are on, battery charger is on. Right here it says we're pulling 960 watts. So on the display you can see we're discharging roughly 984 watts, 110 volts out of the outlet. It shows about 4 hours runtime. All right, so we're just a couple of minutes into this test and the fans have kicked on, the cooling fans. So I've got my microphone right here. We're gonna go to the intake side. Seems kind of loud, and then we'll go over to the exhaust side. It's not nearly as loud. So the cooling is kind of loud, but kind of not. However, it does blow a lot of air. I would say it does have some really good cooling. All right, so we got 4.491 kilowatt hours, and it ran for 4 hours and 31 minutes. All right, so I guess we will go ahead and start recharging. So we ramp up to 580. That'll take roughly 8 or 9 hours to do. We're gonna go ahead and hit the fast charge. All right, so if we leave it at this, look at that, it's gonna take roughly 3 hours to charge. All right, so the next test we're gonna do is test the AC output, and this has a continuous output of 2,200 watts, and it has a surge up to 4,000 watts. And we're just gonna power all this stuff right here at different times. So over here on the right, we've got 2 space heaters, and then right over here, we've got a 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. Specs for the 10-inch sliding compound miter saw, 120 volts, 15 amps. And then finally, right over here, we have a 2 horsepower or 2.5 horsepower peak air compressor. And we'll just start with, I guess, this heater right here. All right, and if you can't see that in the camera, it's saying 1,048 watts. All right, we'll go ahead and turn it to high, and it moved up to 1,200 watts. So obviously it runs a space heater at 1,200 watts, no problem. Plug in the second heater and we'll turn it on low and see what happens. All right, we jumped up to 1,875 watts. So obviously it runs these 2 space heaters, no problem. I'm gonna turn the second one on high and we'll overload it and we'll just see what happens. Here we go. All right, so I saw it jump up to 2,500 watts and it shut off. And it does show overload on here, and that is flashing. Also shows the AC flashing, and I guess that just means it's shut off. We will try the 10-inch sliding compound miter saw, and we'll see if that works. Obviously, we're not cutting any wood or anything like that because we're inside of my house. All right, here we go. It did that no problem, and I saw it jump up to a little over 2,000 watts. We'll do it one more time. All right, it does that no problem. The next thing we'll do is the air compressor, and here we go. Does the air compressor, no problem. It was around 1,200 watts. All right, so I guess what we will do now is see if we can run the air compressor and the saw, which I just don't see it happening, but we'll see what happens. All right, air compressor on. Now for the saw. All right, there you go. Can't run an air compressor or a saw at the exact same time. You will overload it. That was 1,200 watts. Let's plug in a heater and see if we can do a saw. We'll just go in low first. All right, so we're drawing 660 watts. Here we go. No. You cannot do that. This is too much of a surge. So what we will try next is the air compressor. Yes, so we're flowing 1,940 watts. All right, we're gonna try it again with the heater on. No, okay, so if you're drawing roughly 600 watts and you try to start a saw or an air compressor, it's not gonna do it. But if you have the air compressor on already and you turn on a heater, it'll work. Next test, what we're gonna do is max this thing out at the 2,200 watt or real close to it. Run it for at least an hour to make sure it doesn't overload, overheat, or shut down or anything like that. And to do that, I've got two 150 watt light bulbs, and I'm gonna be using the two space heaters as well. Right now I'm sitting at 98%. We'll turn on the AC, which will turn on the two light bulbs, and then we'll turn on the heaters. All right, so I'm drawing 2,140 watts. Time now for reference is 3:17 p.m. 1 hour later, everything is still running, no problem. I even put a little time-lapse camera there in front of the little display. Just in case it did shut off, I could, capture all of that. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that there because I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let it run out all the way to 0% just to make sure there's no problems. Okay, so time now is 5:17, so we ran a little over 2 hours and 2 minutes. All right, so I don't know if you can still hear it, but the exhaust fans are still on to cool down the unit. Wow, I would say this did fan-freaking-tastic. Alrighty, next thing we're gonna do is take this outside and see if we can recharge from that 400 watt solar panel. Again, it's a 400 watt solar panel. I'm not expecting to fully recharge this in one day. We just wanna make sure everything works as long as we have sun. And another thing we're gonna do right now is see if we can drag it up the stairs easily. All right, let's get to it. All right, here we go. Telescopic handle. Pull it all the way out and we'll just lift it up. It's real nice and easy to lift. It rolls, like I said, really, really easy. And if for some reason maybe you need to move it or whatever you need to do, you can put it right on the side just like that. Okay, let's see how good it does on stairs. I don't think it's going to happen because the bottom side, it's got these rubber feet and those are going to get caught on the stairs. So I think stairs are a no-go. Well, you can do it. It's kind of difficult. Oh, nope, you can't do it. So on the bottom, it has these rubber feet right here, okay? And these were getting caught on the stairs to prevent me from bringing it up and down the stairs. So I just took off these bottom two and we're gonna try the stairs again. Again, there is some plastic down there that might get caught. You can do it. It's not great. All right, so I'm getting caught on these plastic pieces right here. That's where the rubber feet go. So those are getting caught on the stairs and making it really, really tricky. If this was smooth right here, with no protrusions at all, it might be okay to go up and down stairs, but at this current time, I wouldn't use this to go up and down stairs. All right, we're gonna see what it's like going from concrete to grass to see how well or easy it is to pull. Yeah, it pulls pretty easy through the grass. All right, today's weather is really cloudy, so it's not a very good day for solar recharging, but we're gonna give it a go anyway. It's got kickstand for each panel. You get a fairly long cable, so that's nice. All right, we got the solar panel set up here. On the back side, there is a kickstand for each panel, so that is good. MC4 connections are on this side, and I just ran it underneath, and we're sticking out right over here. All right, so we got the XT60 to MC4. We're just gonna connect those up. And it does look like you're gonna need a tool to separate these, so keep that in mind. A tool did not come with this to separate those. All right, lift up our little panel here and insert the XT60. Sorry for the horrible reflection, but there's not much I can do with that. So plug it in, all right, and you can see right up there, that's the XT60 connector. And look at that, we're already recharging. We're up to 260 watts, 255. Oh, look at that, we're going up. We got 337. I was not expecting to get very much, honestly. But we're over 300 watts. That's pretty damn awesome. And it does say 16 hours over here.
Later, in the void.
We have some sun. All right, sorry for that reflection. I saw 400 there for a second. I had to run all the way out here from the basement, but I just saw 420 watts right there. So these solar panels will output over 400 watts. All right, time now is a little after 4 p.m. and we're sitting at 40% state of charge, and we're only inputting 309 watts. We have 10 hours left of recharge time. So again, I have been slowly rotating the panels slightly west as the day goes by. We still have pretty good amount of sun up here, some random clouds. I would say for these solar panels right here, could you use one array to recharge the battery in one day? I would say no. You would probably need at least 2 days worth of charging with one array right here. Optimally, you would probably want to get at least 2 of these. If you were going with these solar panels, I would definitely go for 2. That would definitely allow you to recharge in one day. My opinion or thoughts on these solar panels, I would say they're doing pretty good. I mean, it's a foldable solar panel. The little adjustable kickstands back here, I mean, they're all right. You know, it's working pretty good. I don't have too many complaints about it quite yet. Whenever you turn this to adjust it throughout the day, I mean, obviously these kind of fold and move, but it just takes a second to reposition it. So it's really not that bad. So overall, I would say these solar panels are doing pretty good. Okay, we're gonna start wrapping up this video right now because it's gone on way too long. So of course there is a few things that I did off camera, and that's just basically plugging into all the other ports to make sure they work. The only ones that I did not do was that little tiny RV/aviation port, the 24 volt port. I don't have anything to test that. The other one would be the RV plug. I don't have a plug for that quite yet, but I did order one, so we can do some further testing in another video. All right, so I'm just gonna say it here real quick, a real honest opinion about the OUKITEL Aberal P5000. Okay, so overall, I think it did fan-freaking-tastic. And I'm not gonna say it didn't have any flaws or anything like that, because it did, which we will go over right now. So we'll start with the cons first. All right, so my first one is it is not 120 volts. It's only 110 volts. Why? I'm not really sure. There is a little feature on there where you can change it to 100 volts or 110 volts. Same thing, 50 or 60 hertz. You can change that, so depending on wherever you're at in the world, you can use those two options. I would say for most use case scenarios, it's not gonna be a problem. However, all right, my cat just showed up here. He might show up on camera. Anyway, for most use cases, it's not going to be a problem. However, I'm kind of thinking if you're using it for an emergency backup system, you know, and you have a plug on the side of your house, plug it into that, and maybe you're using something on the far end of your house over there. The voltage sag might be quite a bit, and there could be some potential problems, but I don't actually know since I haven't tested that. Hey, buddy. The next one is the stairs. You do not want to take this up and down at least wooden stairs like I have. I kind of tore them up just a little bit. I mean, these stairs are going to get replaced anyway, so that's why I didn't have a problem doing it. Anyway, if you have wooden stairs, you don't want to go up and down those very often because you will destroy the edge of them. If it's concrete stairs, have at it. One thing I would suggest for the OUKITEL team, if they're watching this video, is find out a way to make the bottom flat so you can drag it up and down the stairs. The next one is the DC charging port. You can charge up to 120 volts, but there's that little tiny warning that says if you go over it, you're basically gonna destroy the power station. I would hope there's some protection in there, but again, I haven't actually tested it. The next one is the MC4 connections. You need the tool so you can remove those from the solar panel and the little charging cable that plugs into the power station. It doesn't come with the tool to do that. So the only workaround for that is if you don't have a tool, you know, you could use some needle nose pliers or whatever you can come up with, or just leave your little tiny wire attached to it, the one that plugs into the power station, leave it attached to the solar panel and just throw it right in the pouch, you know, and then you won't ever lose it. That was my workaround for that. And then we're down to the solar panel. My only gripe for that right now is the water protection or lack thereof. It is IPX4, I believe that's what it was, which is, you know, splashing with water, and that's pretty much it. You don't want to leave it out in the rain or anything like that. So if you're camping, you got the battery inside your RV, solar panels outside, and it rains, I mean, it's probably gonna be okay. Honestly, I would probably leave it out there because I would forget. All right, so now on to the pros. So first pro is it has a 5.12 kilowatt hour battery. That's a pretty big battery in such a small space. Yeah, it's pretty heavy, but it's got those wheels, and like I said, this thing rolls really, really good on hard surfaces like the concrete down here and the wood floors and stuff upstairs. Anybody can move that thing around. I don't want to say old people or anything like that, but you know, that can't lift a lot. That extendable handle is pretty long and it's pretty easy to lift up, and once you're up, you can move it around anywhere. So if it's like an emergency type situation, you can move this guy around pretty much anywhere, you know, on the same floor that you're on, anywhere you want to go. The next one is probably my favorite. That's the UPS function. I'm a huge fan of that because here at my house, we try to power everything off of battery and solar and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have an off-grid setup or an emergency backup, you know, system or anything like that, you can use this, plug it into the wall, plug your devices into this, and if the power goes out or when it goes out, you know, a storm, some idiot runs into the pole right down the street, knocks out your power, you can have your refrigerator plugged into it, you know, your cable modem, TV, your medical devices, what have you, plug it into there and it's gonna stay powered on. I'm a huge fan of that because I just never want to lose power. That's the truth. The next one is the capacity test. I think it did a really good job at that, especially coming out of the AC side. We got 4.491 kilowatt hours out of the 5.12 kilowatt hours. All right, that's an efficiency of 87.71. I would say that is pretty damn good. Now, I've only tested one other portable power station, and this beat it by far. The next one is it has super fast charging. You know, with that little slow fast charge switch. Sure, you want to do slow charging, you know, most of the time. But if you're in a hurry, you know, if you're leaving for a camping trip or whatever trip you're leaving on, if you're leaving on a trip, you can recharge this in under 3 hours. Or, you know, you could go watch a movie practically and come back and it'll be fully charged. And then the last one is for the solar panels. The solar panels, in my opinion, they worked really, really good. I saw for a couple of seconds over 420 watts out of a 400 watt panel. I would say that's pretty damn good. Now, the average of the day was probably more around the 350 watt range, but again, the day was pretty cloudy most of the day. Alrighty, well, I think that's all I can think of at the moment. I'm sure I'll think of more as soon as I'm done with the video. So if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, of course, I would love to hear those down in the comment section. If anybody is interested in the OUKITEL Aberal P5000, make sure you check out the links below. And I guess depending on whenever you're watching this video, they are having their Prime Day sale starting on July 9th. If it's after that, you know, sorry about your luck. Anyway, don't forget to like that smash button. Check out my channel for more battery and solar projects and reviews. And I will see you on the next.
I brought you a package. You just got it.
Oh, yeah, I ordered that.
It sounds like something that belongs
You
in the
always say that, or it's broken.
Well,
It's not broken.
it probably is broken.
It's just the parts that come inside of it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it should be protected a little bit more, but what do I know? All right, where was I at, Lauren?
You were just signing off.
I was just signing off. How do you find all the plastic and all the bags to sit on?